Okay, it's now time to get the CX650 motor into the CX500 single spine frame. So yeah, let's get this motor out of this bike. Okay, I've just got the hole up here. I'll get that out, and that is ready to come out. And that is the CX500 motor out of the frame, ready for the 650 motor to go in. Piece of cake, didn't take much really, it only took about an hour I reckon. Okay, we've got the CX650 motor sitting here waiting to go into the bike, but I have been waiting on a replacement ignition system. I'm doing away with the old TAI ignition system and replacing it with the Rae San electronic ignition system. And yeah, it's gone very well in the CX500, so I thought I'd put one in the CX650. Yeah, comes nicely presented like this. Got your control unit, you've got your Hall effect sensor, and you've got the advancer, which has a little magnet on it to trigger the Hall effect sensor, and some wiring to your coils. So yeah, I'm just about to put that into the bike. So we'll just go through and see how that's done. I've also replaced the stator with an aftermarket stator. So the other one was okay, but a lot of this stuff's getting pretty old, so I thought I'd replace it while I got the back cover off. So yeah, let's go ahead and get this Rae San ignition system into the bike. Okay, let's fit the Rae San ignition system. It is recommended to get the motor out the back. You can do it in the bike, but it's very tricky. But taking the motor out, it's not that big a deal. And we take the back cover off the ignition system here. Okay, there we go there. Now I've already removed the advancing unit and the coils, which are here. That would be mounted in the bike like so, with the coils on the outside. So that's all come out. 30-year-old technology. Upgrading that. I've replaced the stator with a new aftermarket stator. So now we need to get the magnet or the advancer onto the crankshaft. The first thing we need to do in installing the Rae San ignition system is to first remove the rear inspection cap and the front one, so we can rotate the motor in the clockwise direction. Now, looking at the timing marks in here, as you rotate, you will first see just a couple of dashes as you rotate round. 2 dashes on their own with no letters, and these are the advanced timing marks for the ignition. So I'm rotating around and I see the 2 dashes. Then I come up to an FS and an FI dash. Now there's 2 sets of these, of course, for the left and right cylinders. So as I keep going, I will see the TR mark, which is top dead center for the right hand cylinder. So I've got to keep going, because the first thing we have to do is line up the FI mark for the left hand cylinder. So I keep coming around. I see the 2 dashes for the advanced marks. Then I see my FS and FI mark, and I line the FI mark up with the little neck on the side of the inspection hole here, which is about there. So now I have the FI mark lined up with the pointer on the edge of the inspection hole here for the left hand cylinder. Okay, the next thing is to mark the rotor. The rotor has a magnet in it. You can see that there. Now that will be put onto the bike like this, and it will be rotating anti-clockwise like this. So we put a mark on the trailing edge of the magnet. You see that there. And I've also put just a smaller mark for the leading edge of the magnet as well. Okay, so it helps to mark the position of the magnet. Next thing we do is fit the rotator with its magnet onto the end of the crankshaft. So I put a little bit of Loctite on this bolt, and the rotator has a small notch on it. It can only really go on one way. It goes into the slot on the end of the crankshaft, like so. Get my bolt in. And we can see our marks there that we made, our trailing and leading marks on the rotator. And so that's lined up with the left hand position, so you can see where that rotator is positioned for the left hand cylinder. Just tighten that up. Okay, the first thing we'll do is have a look at the back of the Hall effect sensor, and here are the 2 little sensors here for the left and right cylinders. And if we turn it around the other way and look at the front, where we can see the 2 resistors for the Hall effect sensors, one there and one there. And can you see those 3 soldering points? If we line the mark we made on the magnet up with the center one of those 3 little solder points, we will pretty well be in the ballpark for the timing. Now we're ready to fit the Hall effect sensor. It goes on like that. I'm going to put a little bit of Loctite on this screw, and that will go on here, like so. I've just got that touching lightly at the moment. And what we can do now is align our trailing mark that we put on the magnet up with that center little pin or solder joint on the resistor for the left hand side. So that's pretty right there. And also let's make sure that none of the Hall effect sensor is touching the rotor. And I'll just nip that bolt up. Like that. So that is really that's the Hall effect sensor is pretty well in the ballpark, but we need to fine tune it now. So to do that, I'm going to wire it up to the battery. That'll be the next thing. Okay, I've taken the battery out of the bike, and we will now wire it into the control unit. First of all, I connect the control unit to the Hall effect sensor with the connector here. I have the neutral, and this is the way you'll wire it in the bike. The neutral goes to the base of the control unit and to the negative on the battery, and the red wire goes to the red wire coming out of the control unit. The other two wires are for the coil. So now I've got light on the Hall effect sensor. When you have this in the bike, I'm not going to do it now, but you won't be able to see this Hall effect sensor, but you can take this cover off and you can see they've got little LEDs in there as well, which mimic these the LEDs on the Hall effect sensor, so you can time the bike if you want, or check your timing. Now we'll fine tune the timing of the Hall effect sensor to the motor. I recheck my mark. I have my F1 lined up with the lug for the left hand cylinder, and I will now loosen these screws off. And we want this this sensor coming off, just coming off on the F mark. So it's on there and it's off there, and I'm not rubbing on the circuit board, so I tighten this up now. Okay. Now I'll just recheck this, and before I do that, you'll notice that there are the two green LEDs on the Hall effect circuit board. The one on the right hand side, excuse me, the one on the right hand side is for the left hand ignition, and the one on the left hand side is for the right hand ignition. So yeah, just bear that in mind. So now I rotate around just for as a check. And I rotate motor around. First thing I see is the two advanced dashes come up for the what will be the right hand cylinder. The light goes on, and as I hit when it goes off, I check my F1 mark, FI mark, and it's in line with the lug for the right hand cylinder. Keep coming around. You see the two advance marks come up, and the green light will come on. You go past them, and I see my FI mark come up for the left hand cylinder, and when that goes off, I check my position, and that's good. But if you have any little differences, you just balance them out between the right hand FI mark and the left hand FI mark. But yeah, that's good. That's all ready to go. Now I can just disconnect it all, put the cover on, and get that in the bike. Well, that's it for the ignition system. It's in place, cover's back on, just tighten these bolts up. And she's ready to go into the bike. Lovely.